I'm telling you, today we got an exclusive. I read all the comments. Thank you guys for the comments and the feedback. I've listened to all of you. You know, change up the intro, change I heard it all, and I'll digest and I'll take in the feedback and we will, apply what makes the most sense. So, with all that being said, today we have none other than Lamron Lil Pat. Lamron Lil Pat. Lamron Lil Pat. And I would be remiss if I did not say rest in peace to Lamron Lil Pat. Excuse me. All right. So today, if you have not hit the subscribe button already, definitely do so because I will be dropping more videos today and potentially some part twos to some other stories. So you definitely want to have your notification bell on just to catch the premiere if you can. If you can't catch the premiere, definitely double back and watch the whole video because this one will be worthwhile. So with all that being said, we're going to jump right into it today. And we have a Chicago Police Department arrest report. And this is, of course, provided to me by way of Reddit requests. And like I said, man, you guys are amazing. So let's just start there. All right. And Chicago Police Department arrest report, of course. We have arrest reporting, and this is the offender we have here. Don't know if that's first or last name, so I won't say that. But Alexander, residence is redacted. Date of birth, year 1992, age 28 years. And he is a male black, 5 feet 8, 130 pounds, brown eyes, black hair, medium hairstyle, medium brown complexion. All right. And we're just scrolling down to charges is a first degree murder. And we have a victim, a DeMonte Richardson, male black, 29 years old, deceased, yes, injured, yes. The hospital is St. Bernard Hospital. All right, and we have an incident narrative, event number 12363, body worn camera incident. Members of the 767 mission team in conjunction with area South Detective Sullivan and More Gross learned that that above offender was wanted for murder. Under the direction of stated detectives, arresting officers relocated to above address and placed the offender into custody for participating in the shooting death of redacted Richardson that occurred on August 17th, 2018 at 7003 South Sangamon. And offender has no warrants, or personal property to be inventoried. All right, and we're going to get into this document some. All right, man, right off the bat, we have another offender here. Someone's AKA is Chicken, white, and he is a male black, 5 feet 10, 150 pounds, brown eyes, black hair, short hairstyle, medium brown complexion. Of course, residence is redacted. Date of birth year is 1999. His age is 22 at this time. The incident charges are first degree murder for him as well. All right. Victim, of course, we know, DeMonte Richardson. And we're going to get into what we seem to have as another incident narrative for the one Chicken. This arrest was made by Gang Investigation Division / Area 2 Detective Division Beat Redacted. This arrest was made in the Cook County Department of Corrections, CCDOC. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, this CCDOD inmate could not be processed in a Chicago Police Department facility. The above subject was arrested after being positively identified as being the individual that shot and killed Redacted on August 17, 2018, at the address of 7000 South Sangamon. No wants and warrants. Offender is not on parole. Right. And now we have another document that is a Chicago case supplementary report, different than the arrest report. So we have an exceptionally clear close, other exceptional report here, and this was filed August 11th, 2021. This is a field investigation, exceptionally clear close, other exceptional report, and a list of victims of DeMonte Richardson, and he was 27 at the time. And they list the offender, white, alias Chicken. They have another offender, Alexander, alias Lil Crazy. All right, and the weapon, they found a weapon in the inventory as evidence. Smith & Wesson, U.S. Bodyguard Chief Special, M&P Shield 9 semi-automatic pistol, 3 blue steel. And they have the victim's vehicle as evidence, and it is a gold. As I say, the make and model. All right, and we know the victim. The weather and lighting: sunny, 70 degrees, daylight, and the lighting source was not artificial but sun. So in the daytime. All right, and then they list all the evidence that they inventoried for the case here. You won't read all of it, but you know, you guys can go through that. We're gonna get through the most important parts. It seems like they also had some Facebook data, some more vehicles damaged, and they had some witnesses. Seems like a male black, 27. All right, and another male black, 44. His nickname, I assume, is redacted. There's a female black, 46, with the nickname alias redacted, excuse me. And another male black, 22 years, person interviewed, non-witness, is his alias is redacted as well. So you got a lot of witnesses. Yeah. All right. Outlining more witnesses for the case. We are at an investigation that took place on June 22nd, 2019 at 1600 hours. The victim is DeMonte Richardson, male 127, date of birth year 91. His gang affiliation, Dog Pound Black Disciples. Injuries, 1 gunshot wound to the mouth exiting the right neck. 2 gunshot wounds to the upper right chest. 1 gunshot wound to the lower right abdomen. 6 gunshot wounds to the upper right arm. 1 gunshot wound to the outer right thigh. 1 gunshot wound to the right buttock. Graze wounds to the left ring finger and the right index finger. All right, and they have an in custody, and we'll just note that he was taken to St. Bernard Hospital via a private vehicle. In custody is this AKA Lil Crazy, male 28. His gang affiliation is Gangster Disciple / Cash Money Boys and Crazyville factions. Date and location of arrest for them or him. In custody, Chicken. So that was the arrest time for this one, Lil Crazy. And now we also have some information in custody for Lil Chicken. I mean, not for Lil Chicken, excuse me, for Chicken. Gang affiliation: he is a gangster, was a Gangster Disciple, was / Cash Money Boys and Crazyville factions. And charges: released without charging for first-degree murder. And they list the weapon inventoried. List the location of occurrence, manner and motive, victim shot / gang-related. Vehicle is a 97 Nissan Maxima 4-door beige. All right, and they took some photographs at the scene, just canvassing. They found some blood stains. And if at any time I'm going too fast, you guys can always just, pause the video and look at the evidence and stuff and see things that you see, or things that I might not cover exactly. And they have central booking photographs of Lil Pat, Chicken, and Lil Crazy. It seems to be 2 other individuals too, and some Facebook profiles for 2 individuals. All right. Facebook photographs of redacted with White holding guns. Investigatory stop searches for redacted, Andrew White, Keith Alexander, and redacted. Okay, we know that. Contents of Andrew White's cell phone. So they had the contents of Andrew White's cell phone, 2 DVDs containing their interviews. All right, so that's all the evidence they have. And a slew of witnesses. Wow. 1 Gangster Disciple, male 128. Another Gangster Disciple, 23-year-old. Another had no gang affiliation, was 33. And a female 28. A male 22. It's a Brick Squad Gangster Disciple. someone's alias who's redacted, gang affiliation, gangster disciples, a lot of gang members as witnesses. It actually gave their names and information. Is interesting for two detectives. Crazyville gangster disciple here. On August 17th, 2018, we get into investigation. Let me preface that. Sorry for just jumping down. On August 17th, 2018, Detective Gregory Inslee and Detective Thomas were assigned to a person shot at the 7003 block of South Sangamon by Sergeant Thomas. The victim, Diamante Richardson, had been shot multiple times and he had been transported by redacted to St. Bernard Hospital. Richardson was in critical condition. The detectives left Area South to respond to the scene, and on the way they learned that Richardson had died. The detectives arrived on the scene and observed the 7000 block of South Sangamon Street to be a one-way street traveling northbound. The block was a residential street with multi-unit apartment buildings and single-family homes. The crime scene was being guarded by the 007th District personnel, and it had been cordoned off with yellow crime scene tape on the outer perimeter and red crime scene tape on the inner perimeter. The detectives learned from Beat 723 and P.O. Rose that Richardson was seated in a vehicle when the offender approached and shot into the vehicle, striking Richardson multiple times. This vehicle was a Nissan Maxima. The detectives walked to the scene with the officers who pointed out the following evidence: 2 fired 9mm casings and a Chicago White Sox baseball hat in the street at approximately 7003 South Sangamon, and 2 bullet holes in the glass surrounding the entrance door of the apartment building at 7007 South Sangamon. Additionally, there was a second crime scene at 6448 Stewart, which was where the Nissan Maxima that transported Richardson to the hospital was located. Beat officers arrived on the scene, photographed and videotaped the scene, and recovered 2 fired casings and the White Sox hat. The detectives conducted a canvass, and no additional leads were obtained. Following this, detectives Beat 5821 left to Redacted, where Redacted, now known as Redacted, and the Nissan Maxima were located. Beat 5821 photographed and videotaped the vehicle. 1 fired bullet and 2 9mm fired cartridge cases were recovered from the inside of the vehicle. The vehicle was swabbed for biological material, and the outside of the passenger door of the vehicle was processed for ridge impressions. Upon arrival, the detectives interviewed Redacted. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that prior to the shooting, he was driving around in Redacted car with Richardson and an individual he knew as Redacted. Redacted stated that Redacted's first name was Redacted. Redacted stated that his driver's license was suspended, so Redacted was driving the car. Redacted stated that he was sitting in the back seat and Richardson was in the front passenger seat. Redacted stated that they were driving around smoking a blunt cigar hollowed out, filled with cannabis. Redacted stated they drove northbound on Sangamon Street from 71st, and Redacted, saw some guys he knew from the neighborhood, nicknamed Redacted Chicken and Redacted. Redacted stated that he told Redacted to pull over at the corner of 70th and Sangamon. Redacted stated that Redacted Chicken and Redacted were standing behind a wrought iron fence surrounding the apartment building at 7000 South Sangamon Street. Redacted stated that after Redacted parked the car, he and Redacted got out of the car and walked over to where Redacted Chicken and Redacted were standing. Richardson remained in the car. Redacted stated he engaged in a conversation with Redacted while Chicken and Redacted walked away. Redacted stated that Redacted told him that Richardson couldn't be over there. Redacted explained that the block that they were parked on was in Gangster Disciple territory, and Richardson was a Black Disciple, BD, from the Dog Pound faction from 72nd and Green Street. Redacted stated he told Redacted that Richardson was not about that gang stuff. Redacted stated that Redacted told him that he had heard that Richardson disrespected his Redacted, stated that he told Redacted that Richardson never said anything about Redacted. Redacted stated that while he was still standing across the street from where the car was parked, he saw the offender walking through the empty lot next to the apartment building at 7000 South 7007 Sangamon Street. Redacted stated that the offender had a white t-shirt. Redacted stated that the offender had a white t-shirt wrapped around his head in an attempt to conceal his identity. Redacted described this individual as a male black, 18 to 22 years of age, 5'8" to 5'9", tall, medium complexion, bare-chested, and wearing dark blue pants. Redacted stated that the offender approached the car where Richardson was seated in. Redacted stated the offender began to shoot at Richardson through the front passenger window. Redacted stated that Richardson raised both of his hands in an attempt to protect himself while he was being shot. Redacted stated he heard approximately 5 to 6 shots. Redacted stated that he ran northbound on Sangamon to the middle of the intersection of 70th and Sangamon. Redacted stated that as the offender was shooting Richardson, Richardson climbed from the front passenger seat to the rear passenger seat. Richardson then climbed through the rear passenger seat, open window on the driver's side. Richardson landed on the street near the rear tire of the driver's side as he continued to attempt to shield himself from the shooter. Redacted stated that Richardson scooted to the rear of the car and the offender ran westbound on 70th Street. Redacted stated he ran to Richardson and helped him to get into the rear passenger seat of the car. Redacted stated that he got into the driver's seat and drove Richardson to St. Bernard Hospital. Redacted stated that when they arrived at St. Bernard Hospital, he pulled up to the ambulance Sally Port and parked. Redacted stated that he helped Richardson get out of the car, stated that the emergency room staff exited the hospital, placed Richardson on a stretcher, and wheeled him into the hospital. Redacted stated that Richardson asked Redacted to call Redacted. Redacted stated that his phone was dying, so he left the hospital and began to drive to Redacted house. Redacted stated that as he was driving, he called Redacted to get Redacted telephone number. Redacted stated that Redacted told him to pull over and call the police. Redacted stated he pulled over at 65th and Stewart and called the police. Redacted stated that while he was on the phone with 911, he observed a police car and waved the officer down. Redacted stated that he told the officer what happened. The detectives asked Redacted if he knew who shot Richardson. Redacted stated that the person that shot Richardson was an individual known to him as Chicken. After this interview, the detectives at Beat 5821 went to St. Bernard's emergency room to fingerprint Richardson and photograph his injuries. Redacted arrived at St. Bernard's Hospital and she was notified of his death. On August 18, 2018, Dr. Escobar performed an autopsy on Richardson's remains and determined the cause and manner of death to be multiple gunshot wounds / homicide. On August 19, 2018, Detective Inslee received a telephone call from Redacted. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that Redacted was in possession of Richardson's cell phone. Redacted stated that Redacted gave Redacted the cell phone at St. Bernard's Hospital the night of the murder. On August 20th, 2018, the Chicago Police Department Forensics Firearms Lab examined the firearms evidence. All 5 of the fire casings had been fired from the same firearm, a firearm capable of firing 9mm Luger ammunition. On August 22nd, 2018, CPD latent prints examiners examined the 4 fingerprint lists recovered from the exterior passenger doors of the Nissan Maxima. The fingerprint lists belonged to Redacted Richardson and Redacted, who was the registered owner of the vehicle. On September 3rd, 2018, Detective Inslee obtained Richardson's cell phone. A search warrant for their cell phone was obtained, and the cell phone was processed at RCFL for its contents. On December 14, 2018, the CPD Forensics Firearms Lab reported a high-confidence correlation between the fired 9mm casings recovered from the scene of Richardson's murder and 2 other cases. Redacted. On February 7th, 2019, Redacted viewed a photo array at Area South, and he positively identified Andrew White as being the individual nicknamed Chicken that killed Richardson. On June 22nd, 2019, this case was assigned to Area 2 Cold Case Homicide Unit. On July 18th, 2019, at 1620 hours, the reporting detectives met with Redacted. The reporting detectives updated them on the status of the investigation and provided them with the reporting detectives' contact information. On September 29, 2019, Detective Sullivan listened to the 911 calls regarding the murder of Richardson. No additional leads were obtained. On October 7, 2019, Redacted arrived at Area South in order to be interviewed again by Detective Sullivan. Detective Sullivan called the Cook County State's Attorney Felony Review Unit and spoke to Assistant State's Attorney Elizabeth Dibbler. ASA Dibbler stated that she would come to Area South to review the case. At 18:54 hours, Redacted was interviewed in the Area South conference room by Detective Sullivan. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that on August 17, 2018, he was driving around with Richardson in a male black nicknamed Redacted, now known as Redacted, in Redacted vehicle, a Nissan Maxima. Redacted stated that they were smoking a blunt. Redacted stated that Redacted was driving because his driver license was suspended. Redacted stated that Richardson was in the front passenger seat and he was in the rear driver's side seat. Richardson stated that both he and Redacted were gangster disciples, no faction, and that Richardson was a dog-pound black disciple. Redaction stated that he and Richardson redacted. Redaction stated that Richardson's father was named Patrick and he had been killed years ago. After this, people started calling Richardson Lil Pat in honor of Richardson's father. Redacted stated that as they drove north on the 7,000 block of South Sangamon, two male blacks known to him as Redacted and Chicken called out to him. Redacted stated that Chicken, now known as Andrew White, was sitting on a stoop inside of a black wrought iron fence while Redacted, now known as Redacted, was standing on the sidewalk on the other side of the fence. This black wrought iron fence cordoned off the front of a large courtway building. White and Redacted were approximately located at 7002 South Sangamon. Redacted stated that he told Redacted to pull over. Redacted stated that Redacted parked on the east side of Sangamon near the corner of 70th at approximately 7003 Sangamon. Redacted stated that he also observed a black vehicle, possibly a Pontiac, parked on the west side of Sangamon at approximately 7000 South Sangamon. Redacted stated that this vehicle had an unknown female black driver. Redacted stated that a male black nicknamed Lil Crazy, now known as Keith Alexander, was leaning on the passenger door of the vehicle. Redacted stated that he got out of the Nissan Maxima and walked towards the west side of Sangamon. Redacted stated that both Redacted and Richardson remained in the vehicle. Redacted stated that he greeted Alexander and told him that he likes his shoes. Redacted stated that he then went to the sidewalk and shook hands with Redacted and White through the wrought iron fence. Redacted stated that Redacted and White talked to him about smoking weed and he told them that he didn't have any more. Redacted stated that Redacted then asked him for $10. Redacted stated that while he was talking to Redacted and White, Redacted had gotten out of the vehicle and walked southbound to a vehicle parked on the west side of the street about a half block south. Redacted stated that Redacted got into the vehicle to talk to a male black known to him as Redacted. Redacted stated that he learned where Redacted had gone when he spoke to Redacted after the shooting had occurred. Redacted stated he started to walk back to the Nissan Maxima as he passed the black vehicle. Alexander said, "Check it out. Let me holler at you." Redacted stated that he and Alexander walked to the west sidewalk of Sangamon. Well, Redacted and White were both now on the other side of the black wrought iron fence. Redacted stated that Alexander said, "Man, dude can't be over here," referring to Richardson. Redacted stated that Alexander said that Richardson had disrespected Redacted by saying "fuck him" on social media. Redacted stated that Redacted and White walked closer to the wrought iron fence and Redacted said, "Who are you talking about?" Redacted stated that Alexander said, "Dude from the pound, dog pound BDs," referring to Richardson. Redacted stated that he said, "That's Redacted. You know what's going on. What's the problem?" Redacted then stated, no, he can't be here. Redacted stated that as this conversation was going on, Redacted, was getting loud and argumentative with Alexander. Redacted stated that a male black known to him as Redacted walked up behind him. Redacted stated that Redacted was a Crazyville GD, and he also asked, "Who you talking about, Lil Pat?" Redacted stated that as he turned around and answered, "Yeah," he saw White in the middle of the Sangamon walking eastbound towards the parked Nissan Maxima. Redacted stated that when he was talking to Alexander, he noticed White come out from behind the wrought iron fence. Redacted stated that White had a white t-shirt wrapped around the lower part of his face from the nose down over his chin. Redacted stated that while White had no shirt on, he was wearing dark blue pants. Redacted stated that White had his hand inside of his front pants. Redacted stated that he knew White was holding a gun in his pants even though he could not see it. Redacted stated that he did not recall what shoes White had been wearing. Redacted stated that he yelled to White, "That's Redacted! That's Redacted!" Redacted stated that White walked around the front of the Nissan Maxima and walked up to the passenger side of the vehicle. Redacted stated that White pulled a hanger out of his pants as Richardson put his hands up and said, "I ain't got nothing to do with that stuff." Redacted stated that White started shooting at Richardson. Redacted stated that White never said anything. Redacted stated that he was about 15 feet away from White when White started shooting. Redacted stated that he ran to the intersection of 70th Street and Sangamon, stopped, turned back towards White, and watched White continue to shoot. Redacted stated that Richardson climbed into the back seat as White continued firing. Redacted stated that Richardson then climbed out of the back window into the street. Redacted stated that he believed that White fired the handgun about 7 times. Redacted stated that White then ran westbound on 70th Street. Redacted stated that he believed that White ran into a door on the north side of the corner courtway building into the apartment of Redacted. Redacted then stated that he was not sure where White ran to. Redacted stated that he also did not see where Alexander Redacted ran to. Redacted, younger than him and White hung out with his own younger crew. Redacted stated that the shooters was wearing the same pants that White had been wearing when he was speaking to White prior to the shooting. Additionally, Redacted stated that the shooter had the same hair, the same build, the same gait, and the same complexion as White. Redacted stated that he immediately knew the shooter was White, and he told the officers and detectives that White Chicken was the shooter. Redacted stated that he believed that the reason that White shot Richardson was that White was making a name for himself in the gang and that Richardson was a member of the opposing gang. Redacted stated that he believed that White and Redacted stated that White and Redacted were originally members of the Dump Street GDs, but they were now the younger guys of the Crazyville GDs. Redacted stated that the younger Crazyville GDs called themselves Lil Duets. Redacted stated that the gang was called Cash Money Boys, but they were calling themselves Crazyville after Crazy was killed. Redacted stated that Alexander was a Crazyville GD. Redacted stated that White was currently incarcerated and that he believed that Redacted was also incarcerated in Ohio for a murder. Redacted stated that he put Richardson in the Nissan Maxima and drove him to St. Bernard Hospital. Redacted stated that Richardson asked him to call Redacted to let him know what had happened. Redacted stated that he couldn't reach Redacted on the phone, so he started to drive to Redacted's house when his vehicle shut off. Redacted stated that a police officer drove by and he flagged the officer down. Redacted stated that he told the officer what had happened. Redacted stated that he told the officer that White Chicken was the shooter. The reporting detectives asked Redacted if the unknown female black in the vehicle was still in the corner when the shooting occurred, and he said that she was. Redacted stated that Redacted was a male black, about 23 years of age, 5 feet 10, slender build, short hair, medium complected, with a possible chipped front tooth. Redacted stated that Redacted currently lived in the vicinity of 74th Street. All right. And Redacted stated that Redacted was a black male in his 30s, 6 feet, slender build, short hair, and dark complected. Redacted stated that Redacted was also a Crazyville GD. Redacted stated that he could send the Facebook profiles of Redacted and Redacted to the reporting detective's cell phone. Redacted's cell phone battery was drained, so the reporting detectives gave Redacted a charger for his phone. Following this, the reporting detectives showed Redacted 5 central booking photographs. Redacted identified the following individuals: Richardson by his full name and by the nickname Lil Pat, Redacted by the nickname Redacted, White by the nickname Chicken, Alexander by the nickname Lil Crazy, and Redacted by the nickname Redacted. At approximately 2,000 hours, ASA Dibbler arrived at Area South, read all the reports, and was updated on the case by reporting detectives. At 34 hours, ASA Dibbler interviewed Redacted in the presence of Detective Sullivan. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted related the same version that he had told the reporting detectives with the following additions. Redacted stated that he spoke to both Alexander and White on the phone after the murder of Richardson. Redacted stated that Alexander asked him if he was going to keep it in the streets or get the police involved. Redacted stated that he told Alexander that he was going to keep it in the streets. Redacted stated that when he spoke to White on the phone, he told White that it was in the streets and that it is what it is. Redacted stated that White was very quiet on the phone. Redacted stated that he saw Redacted and White in a store at 67th and Morgan after the murder of Richardson, and nothing was said about the murder. Redacted stated that he saw Redacted after the murder of Richardson and that he and Redacted spoke about it. Redacted stated that he did not know if Redacted would cooperate with the investigation. Following this, Redacted agreed to give a handwritten statement to ASA Dibbler at 21:37 hours. A handwritten statement was taken into the presence of reporting detectives. Following this, Redacted sent the reporting detectives the Facebook profile of Redacted. The Facebook profile name was Redacted. The reporting detectives learned that Redacted was Redacted. Redacted sent the Facebook profile of Redacted, and the Facebook profile name is Redacted. The reporting detectives learned that Redacted was Redacted. All right, we have a redaction block. And we have on October 9th, 2019, reported detectives were notified by Redacted that Luke Funeral Home had given her a bag of clothes belonging to Richardson. Additionally, Redacted stated that a white Champion sweatshirt was recovered a day or two later from the scene by Redacted. This sweatshirt was allegedly recovered from the black wrought iron fence on the southwest corner of 70th Street in Sangamon. Redacted knew that the shooter covered his face with a white t-shirt with a white shirt, and she stated that she was not sure if the sweatshirt belonged to Redacted or the shooter. On October 15, 2019, the reporting detectives went to Redacted's residence, and both Redacted and Redacted were present. The reporting detectives recovered the bag of clothes containing a white hoodie, white socks, and blue jeans, and the white Champion sweatshirt. The reporting detectives were then informed that there were additional clothes that had been recovered from Richardson while he was at the hospital by Redacted. The reporting detectives recovered these items, which included gym shoes, black jeans, a black belt, white earbuds, and a heart-shaped metal container. Redacted stated that Redacted brought the white Champion sweatshirt to her house after getting it from Redacted, stated that she hung the white Champion sweatshirt up in her closet and that it was never washed. Redacted stated that she did not recognize the sweatshirt. The sweatshirt was a 2XL, and Richardson did not wear that size. Redacted provided the cell phone number for Redacted. The reporting detectives returned to Area South and inventoried all of these items at Area South Detective Bureau and hand carried them to Forensic Services section. Detective Sullivan looked at the crime scene photographs and he did not see a white shirt on the wrought iron gate or fence. Following this, Detective Sullivan called Redacted and left a voice message. Detective Moore Groves called Redacted and interviewed her telephonically. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that on August 17, 2018, she picked Redacted, stated that she was at the intersection of 69th Street and Lafayette when she saw a vehicle driving on 69th Street approaching her and driving erratically, swerving. Redacted stated that as the vehicle approached, she saw there was a body in the back seat and that this individual had been injured. Redacted stated that she blocked traffic to allow the vehicle to pass and she followed it to St. Bernard Hospital. When she arrived at the hospital, she saw that the individual in the back seat was Redacted Richardson. Redacted stated that she did not know the driver. Redacted stated that Redacted stayed by Richardson and she went inside to get help from hospital personnel. Redacted stated that Richardson took off his shoes and his pants and he gave them to Isaac Redacted. Redacted stated that she put Richardson's clothes in a plastic bag and she later put it into a box which she gave to Redacted. Redacted stated that she did not recall what Richardson had been wearing, so she asked Redacted, who was present for the phone call. Redacted said that Richardson only had on underwear and a t-shirt. Redacted said that he recalled hospital personnel cutting off the undershirt, but that he did not recall Richardson having a hoodie. On October 16, 2019, Redacted called Detective Sullivan and Redacted was interviewed telephonically. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that he received a call from Redacted, stated that he did not recall her name and he did not have her cell number. Redacted suggested calling Redacted to try to get Redacted's number. Redacted stated that Redacted said that Richardson's sweatshirt was hanging on the gate. Redacted stated that he went there the next day and recovered the sweatshirt. Following this, Detective Sullivan called Redacted, stated that she would attempt to get the girl's name and number. Redacted stated that Richardson had Redacted. Responding to, on October 16, 2019, the reporting detectives put a preservation order on the Facebook account associated to White. On August 21st, 2019, Redacted called Detective Sullivan and gave him the name and number of Redacted. On October 23rd, 2019, Detective Sullivan interviewed Redacted telephonically. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that she did not call Redacted about a sweatshirt. Redacted stated that she did not recall Richardson having a white Champion sweatshirt. Redacted stated that Richardson would not wear such a large size. The reporting detectives unsuccessfully sought to interview Redacted and Redacted. All three were believed to be possible eyewitnesses to Richardson's murder. On November 26, 2019, the reporting detectives initiated investigative alerts with no probable cause to arrest on all three individuals. Additionally, the reporting detectives completed the social media request form requesting assistance from the Area South Social Media Exploitation Unit. The reporting detectives requested assistance in locating social media accounts of White in addition to the Facebook account Redacted. Any posts relating to the murder of Richardson and any posted photographs of White holding a gun. Previously, on October 7, 2019, Redacted told Detective Sullivan that he believed that the individual that White ran into the apartment of a male black named Redacted when he fled the scene after shooting Richardson. Redacted did not see White enter Redacted's apartment, but he believed it to be true. Based on this information, on January 8th, 2020 at 11:52 hours, the reporting detectives interviewed Redacted regarding the murder of Richardson. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that on August 17, 2017, Redacted stated that he moved into his apartment in about. Redacted stated that he previously lived at Redacted. Redacted stated that he was not in a gang, but that the police had documented him as being a member of the Brick Squad Gangster Disciples when he had been arrested in the past. Redacted stated that he lived within the territorial boundaries of the street gang called the Crazyville GDs. Redacted stated that other gangs in the vicinity were the Smashville GDs and the Tunchiville GDs. The reporting detective showed Redacted 8 central booking photographs of the following individuals: Diamante Richardson, Andrew White, and Keith Alexander. Redacted stated he had seen Redacted on the block before. Redacted stated that he did not know anyone else in the photographs. The reporting detective challenged Redacted on him not associating with White, Redacted, and Alexander. Redacted stated that Redacted would evict him and Redacted if he was seen hanging outside of the building. Redacted stated that he had smoked weed, cannabis with Redacted in the building hallway several times, but not outside. Redacted stated that there were cameras on the outside of the building, but not on the inside hallways. Redacted stated that he met Redacted because Redacted, hung outside the building. Redacted stated that he heard about the shooting of Richardson. Redacted stated that he was outside when the shooting occurred, but he was not on Sangamon. Redacted stated that he learned about the shooting when Redacted called him because she heard about the shooting and was worried that it might have been him. Redacted stated that Redacted's phone number was Redacted. The reporting detectives told Redacted that White was supposed to have run into Redacted's apartment after the shooting. Redacted stated that he was not there, so if White had gone to his apartment, White would not have been able to get in. The reporting detectives asked Redacted about how the side gate on the north side of the building operated. Redacted stated that the side gate opened on the 70th Street, that it would not open from the outside, only from the inside. The reporting detectives asked Redacted if he knew White. Redacted stated that he did not, but he recalled being locked up for an unlawful use of a weapon case in May 19, and some 007th District officers asked him about White. Reporting detectives informed Redacted that they would be talking to him again if he lied about anything discussed in this interview. Redacted again stated that no one ran into his apartment after Richardson had been shot. Reporting detectives told Redacted that they had heard that he had gotten into a fight with Richardson earlier in the day on August 17, 2018. Redacted stated that he never fought Richardson. The reporting detectives were aware of the following: Redacted and White worked together when in Redacted. On November 27, 2019, Detective Inslee created a Somex team intelligence report regarding the Facebook account of White. Additionally, Detective Inslee copied numerous photos from this Facebook account and placed them on a DVD. These two items were inventoried by Detective. The Facebook account for White, Redacted, and his Facebook moniker was Redacted. Alright, Detective Inslee provided the reporting detectives a copy of the Somex team intelligence report and a copy of the DVD containing numerous photographs from White's Facebook account. On January 8th, 2020, the reporting detectives attempted to contact Redacted several times after they interviewed Redacted. The calls went to voicemail. On the 8th of January 2020 at 17:15, Detective Sullivan made contact with Redacted and she was interviewed telephonically. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted yelled, "How did you get my number?" Detective Sullivan asked Redacted if she would be willing to meet with responding detectives, and she refused. Detective Sullivan told Redacted that he wanted to talk to her about the murder that occurred at 70th and Sangamon in August 2018. Redacted stated that she did not know anything about the murder and she didn't live over there. Detective Sullivan asked Redacted why would Redacted tell the reporting detectives that she had called Redacted about someone being killed over there on August 17, 2018. Redacted then hung up on the reporting detectives. Detective Sullivan attempted to call Redacted back on two separate occasions, did not answer the phone, so reporting detectives left a message. On January 7, 2020, the reporting detectives went to Redacted seeking to interview Redacted. Redacted was believed to be a witness to the murder of Richardson. The reporting detectives spoke to Redacted and left their business cards since Redacted was not home. On January 8, 2020, Redacted called Detective Sullivan and left a voice message. The reporting detectives returned the call at 1612 hours and interviewed Redacted telephonically. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that he did not want to meet with the reporting detectives, nor was he willing to speak to them. Redacted stated that he had the right to remain silent. Detective Sullivan told Redacted that he was at the scene of Richardson's murder at the 70th Street in Sangamon in August 2020. Redacted stated that he did not know what the reporting detectives were talking about. Detective Sullivan asked Redacted if he knew Richardson or an individual nicknamed by the nickname of Lil Pat. Redacted stated that he did not. Redacted stated that I'm cool, I don't want to talk to y'all. And Redacted then asked the reporting detectives not to come to Redacted apartment. There was an investigative alert with no probable cause to arrest Redacted on Redacted. The reporting detectives left this investigative alert active. On February 4th, 2020, at 11:35 hours, the reporting detectives interviewed Redacted at Redacted. The reporting detectives had previously interviewed Redacted on January 8th, 2020. The reporting detectives interviewed Redacted a second time to confront Redacted with the discrepancies in his previous statement. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. The reporting detectives interviewed Redacted that they were there to talk to him again because he had lied to them in the previous interview. The reporting detectives asked Redacted if he knew Chicken Andrew White, and Redacted failed to respond. The reporting detectives then showed Redacted 3 photographs obtained from White's Facebook account. These photographs showed Redacted with White and 2 other individuals. Redacted was holding a handgun in 2 of these photographs. White was armed with a handgun in 2 of the photographs with a rifle in the 3rd photograph. Redacted still would not admit that he knew White. The reporting detectives asked Redacted who shot Richardson and what the motive was. Redacted stated that he did not know or hear who shot Richardson and that he did not know the reason why Richardson was shot. The reporting detectives informed Redacted that he and White were together on 2 separate occasions when they were stopped by police and interviewed Redacted and White. Additionally, the reporting detectives reminded Redacted still refused to acknowledge that he knew White. Detective Sullivan attempted to view the contents of the DVD of the contents of Richardson's cell phone from RCFL on several different computers at Area South with no success. On February 25, 2020, Detective Sullivan requested the assistance of Area South Tech Center personnel to open the DVD, and several attempts were unsuccessful. This was due to the extremely large data file on the DVD. At this point in the investigation, the reporting detectives do not see any evidentiary value in the contents of Richardson's cell phone. If this changes, the reporting detectives will request assistance from the RCFL on opening and reading the DVD. On February 25, 2020, Detective Sullivan viewed the video footage from the camera located at the exterior of 70 Redacted South Sangamon. The camera faced a southeast direction, so it faced the opposite direction of the shooting. There was a second camera that was in the rear of the building. The reporting detectives did not know if the times on the video were correct. The first call to 911 was received at OEMC at 14:53 hours. The video obtained was only to 14:38:58 hours. This video ended at approximately 15 minutes before the shooting occurred, if the time on the video was accurate. The reporting detectives watched the video and saw nothing of value. Detective Sullivan then viewed the video footage from St. Bernard's Hospital's emergency room ambulance entrance. No additional leads were obtained. On March 18, 2020, Sergeant Nicholas, a 007th District Tactical Team supervisor, contacted Detective Sullivan regarding the murder of Richardson. Sergeant Cortese stated that he had recently spoken to a confidential informant, CI, regarding the Cash Money Boys gangster disciples. Sergeant Cortese stated that the CI said that Alexander has some rank in the gang since Alexander's brother, Crazy, was killed. Sergeant Cortese stated that the CI said that if one of the younger gang members heard Alexander say that someone, Diamante Richardson, did not belong there, it could be interpreted as an order to shoot that individual. In July 2020, Detective Sullivan related the probable cause to arrest Alexander to Sergeant Cortese. On July 18th, 2020, Sergeant Cortesi and several members of his tactical team arrested Alexander outside of his residence. Alexander was on electronic monitoring from the CCDOC for a pending case. Alexander was transported to Area 2 and he was placed into interview room number 6. The ERI camera had been activated. After the ERI camera had been activated, Alexander was interviewed. On July 18th, 2020, at 18:44 hours, Detective Sullivan advised Alexander of his rights in the presence of Detective Moore Gross. Alexander stated that he understood his rights and he agreed to speak to reporting detectives. Alexander stated the following in essence and not verbatim. The reporting detectives informed Alexander that he had been arrested for participating in the murder of Richardson. The reporting detective showed Alexander a photograph of Richardson and he stated that he knew Richardson from the neighborhood. Alexander stated that he did not know Richardson's name or nickname or what gang Richardson was affiliated with. Alexander stated that he did not hear about Richardson being shot and killed. The reporting detective challenged Alexander about him having no knowledge of Richardson's murder, but Alexander continued to say that he did not hear about it. The reporting detective showed Alexander a photograph of White. Alexander stated that he did not know White. The reporting detectives challenged Alexander concerning this, and Alexander stated that he knew of White. Alexander then stated that redacted and that he had hung out with White on a few occasions. Alexander stated that he did not know White's name or nickname. The reporting detectives then showed Alexander a photograph of Redacted. Alexander identified Redacted as the individual known to him by the nickname of Redacted. Alexander stated that he did not shoot Richardson. The reporting detectives explained accountability to Alexander and how he was culpable for the murder of Richardson. Alexander denied participating in the murder of Richardson and he stated that he would like a lawyer. The reporting detectives terminated the interview. Alexander was eventually released without charging. Before Alexander was returned to the 005th District lockup, he asked for Detective Sullivan's business card and stated that he would think about talking to the reporting detectives in the future, but not on camera. On July 20th, 2020, at 20:25 hours, the reporting detectives went to Alexander's residence to interview him. When no one answered the door, Redacted came out and called Redacted. Detective Sullivan spoke to Redacted, and she stated that she would have Alexander call the reporting detectives. At 21:52 hours, Alexander called Detective Sullivan and stated that he would not talk to the reporting detectives about the murder. Alexander called from cell phone number Redacted. On July 20th, 2020, Detective Sullivan called the cell phone numbers of the 3 individuals that had called 911. The results are as follows. 1. Redacted. A message was left on 2 separate occasions. The reporting detectives did not receive a call back. A non-working cell phone number. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that on 17th of August 2018, she heard loud talking and she looked out her window. Redacted stated that she lived at Redacted at the time. Redacted stated that she saw 3 male blacks, one sitting in a vehicle, one outside of the vehicle, and one by the corner, 70th Street and Sangamon. Redacted stated that she saw a young male black walk up to the vehicle and shoot the individual sitting in it. Redacted stated that the shooter had no shirt on and had a white t-shirt around his face. Redacted stated that the shooter ran westbound on 70th Street. Redacted stated that the other 2 individuals ran, but one returned and drove the victim away. On April 6, 2021, at 13:57 hours, the reporting detectives interviewed Redacted at the Redacted. The interview was recorded on a department iPad that the reporting detectives had brought with them. Reporting detectives stated the following in essence. Not reporting detectives. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. As the reporting detectives were asking Redacted about some demographic/personal questions, Redacted asked why the reporting detectives wished to speak to him. The reporting detectives told Redacted that they were there to talk to him about a case that took place on August 17, 2018 at 70th and Sangamon. The reporting detectives informed Redacted that he was not a suspect in the case. Redacted stated that he was familiar with that block and that he used to hang out there. Redacted stated that he did not want to answer questions about it without a lawyer present. Redacted stated that he did not know what this was about and that reporting detectives told him that it was about an individual that was shot there. The reporting detectives showed Redacted a photograph of Richardson. Redacted stated that he did not know him. The reporting detective stated that Richardson may have been called Lil Pat, and Redacted again stated that he did not know him. The reporting detective showed Redacted a photograph of Redacted. Redacted stated that he did not know him. Redacted then stated that he had seen Redacted around a couple of times. The responding detectives asked Redacted if he had ever seen Richardson before. He stated that he had not. The reporting detective showed Redacted a photograph of Redacted. He stated that he had never seen Redacted before. The reporting detectives then showed Redacted a photograph of himself, which he identified, and they then showed him a photograph of White. Redacted stated that he did not know White, and he stated that he did not want to talk to the reporting detectives. The reporting detectives were unable to show Redacted any additional photographs that they had. The reporting detectives then told Redacted that he knew the incident that the reporting detectives were talking about, and Redacted stated that he did not. Redacted again stated that he did not want to talk to the reporting detectives anymore. The reporting detectives informed Redacted that they were not going to return to Redacted and that this was his final opportunity to tell the truth. Redacted stated that he had nothing to say. On April 27, 2021, Detective Sullivan viewed the DVD containing White's cell phone contents and obtained nothing of evidentiary value. On May 4, 2021, at 19:29 hours, Redacted was arrested in the 005th District for having an active warrant. A name check revealed that Redacted had an active investigative alert regarding the murder of Richardson that had been issued by the reporting detectives. On May 4th, 2021, at 20:32 hours, the reporting detectives interviewed Redacted in the 005th District. Redacted was stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redaction stated that on August 17, 2018, he was in a vehicle by himself and he was parked on the 6900 block of South Sangamon. Redacted stated that he was parked on the east side of Sangamon in approximately the middle of the block. Redacted stated that he was going to visit a friend named Redacted who lived on the block. Redacted stated that Redacted's last name was possibly Redacted. Redacted stated that he was in the vehicle smoking weed when Redacted ran up to his vehicle. Redacted said he needed to get from here because someone just got done shooting. Redacted stated that Redacted told him he had been in a vehicle with someone who got shot. Redacted stated that Redacted asked him to drop him off at Redacted House on either 64th Street or 65th in Morgan. Redacted stated that he drove Redacted to and that he never saw Redacted again. Redacted stated that he knew because Redacted was Redacted. The reporting detectives asked Redacted if he had heard gunshots, and he denied hearing them. The reporting detectives challenged Redacted on this since he was only about a half a block from the scene of the shooting. Redacted again stated that he had not heard any gunshots. Redacted stated that he did not recall if he had music playing in his vehicle while he was parked. Redacted stated that he did not gangbang and that he never heard who shot Richardson. Alright, the reporting detectives then showed Redacted asexual booking photographs of the following individuals: Diamante Richardson, Redacted, Andrew White, aka Chicken, Redacted, aka Redacted, Keith Alexander, aka Lil Crazy, Redacted. Redacted stated that he only knew Redacted and Alexander. Redacted stated that Alexander and his deceased brother, aka Crazy, used to live Redacted. The reporting detectives challenged Redacted about knowing Redacted. Redacted again stated that he did not know Redacted. The reporting detectives requested the investigative alert be expired on May 7, 2021 at 18:49 hours. Redacted was arrested for 3 separate warrants. A name check revealed that Redacted had an active investigative warrant regarding the murder of Richardson that had been issued by the reporting detectives. Detective Sullivan was on his regular day off, and he was unavailable to interview Redacted until the early morning hours of May 8, 2021. On May 8, 2021, at 02:06 hours, Detective Sullivan interviewed Redacted in interview room number 6. Redacted stated the following in essence and not verbatim. Redacted stated that on August 17, 2018, he was in the gas station at 63rd Street and Racine buying a blunt. Redacted stated that a male black known to him as Redacted drove into the gas station. Redacted stated that Redacted was driving a male black that he had never seen before was in the front passenger seat. Redacted stated that Redacted introduced Redacted. This male black is now known as Richardson. Redacted stated that he asked Redacted if he could get a ride to the store, and Redacted said he would drive him. Redacted stated that he got into the rear passenger seat of the vehicle behind Redacted. Redacted stated that they drove around the neighborhood, and while they were doing this, they drove down the 7,000 block of South Sangamon at least 3 times. Redacted stated that after a short time, Redacted asked him if he wanted to drive. Redacted stated that he said yes, because he wanted to get to the store. Redacted stated that he and Redacted switched their positions in the vehicle. Redacted stated that while going to the store, Redacted directed him to drive on the 7,000 block of South Sangamon one more time. Redacted stated that as he drove, Redacted was hanging out of the back window waving and yelling. Redacted stated that some individuals on the west side of Sangamon flagged down Redacted. Redacted stated that as he slowed down approaching the stop sign at 70th Street, Redacted jumped out of the vehicle and walked to the west side of Sangamon. There were numerous individuals standing out there. Redacted stated that Redacted yelled to him to park the vehicle. Redacted stated that a male black standing on the west side of Sangamon near the corner yelled at him about knowing Redacted. Redacted stated that he got out of the vehicle and approached this male black to show him the Redacted on his cell phone. Redacted stated that he heard numerous gunshots that were very close. Redacted stated that he ducked down and took off running westbound on 70th Street. Redacted stated that he cut through the school lot on the north side of 70th Street and he ran to Morgan, 1 block west of Sangamon. Redacted stated that when he was almost to Morgan, he turned back and saw a Redacted vehicle driving away east on 70th Street, so he thought that neither Redacted nor Richardson were shot. Redacted stated that he ran down Morgan to 65th Street and then to Redacted residence on Green. Redacted stated that while he was running, the same male black that asked about Redacted drove by and asked if he was good. Redacted stated that this male black asked him if he needed a ride, and Redacted stated he turned down the offer and continued running home. Redacted stated that later that evening, Redacted called him and told him that Richardson had been killed. Redacted stated that he never saw the shooter and never looked back at the shooter as he fled. Redacted stated that he never heard who shot or killed Richardson. Redacted stated that he did not know any of the individuals that Redacted had gone to talk to when he jumped out of the vehicle. Redacted stated that he knew Redacted that he did not really hang out with him. Redacted stated that Redacted. The reporting detective showed Redacted 8 central booking photographs of the following individuals: Diamante, Redacted, Andrew White, aka Chicken, Redacted, aka Redacted, Keith Alexander, aka Lil Crazy. Redacted identified Redacted as Redacted and Redacted as the individual that he provided Redacted. Redacted stated that he recognized Alexander and Redacted, but he did not know their names or nicknames. Redacted stated that he did not recognize Redacted and White. Redacted stated that the only individuals that he saw at the scene were Redacted, Richardson, and Redacted. The reporting detectives requested the investigative alert for Redacted be expired. On May 25th, 2021, at 10:40 hours, White, who was still in custody at the CCDOC, was placed under arrest by Beat 6520 due to COVID restrictions. White was fingerprinted, photographed, and interviewed in the Intel Center at the CCDOC. The interview of White was audio and video recorded on a CPD-issued iPad. White was advised of his rights by Detective Sullivan at 12:19 hours in the presence of Detective Moore. White stated that he understood his rights and he waived them. White stated the following in essence and not verbatim. The reporting detectives told White that he was under arrest for the murder of Richardson. Richardson stated that he did not know what the reporting detectives were talking about. When asked and after being shown photographs of these individuals, White stated that he did not know Redacted, Keith Alexander, Redacted, or Redacted. White stated that his nickname was not Chicken, and nobody ever called him that. White stated that he was not in a gang. White stated that he did not kill anybody. The reporting detectives contacted the Cook County State's Attorney, FRU, and spoke to ASA Dickey. After being updated on the arrest and interview of White, ASA Dickey rejected charges for first-degree murder. ASA Dickey stated that he was rejecting charges due to the fact that there was only one eyewitness and that there were no additional evidence that connected White to Richardson's murder. The recovered evidence in this case has been submitted to the ISP Forensic Science Center at Chicago for testing and analysis. All of the evidence has been examined and the results do not contradict the facts of this case. The reporting detectives submit that it has been established to the satisfaction of the Chicago Police Department through the reporting detectives' investigation that Andrew White was the individual responsible for the shooting death of Diamante Richardson. The reporting detectives request this case be cleared, closed, exceptionally barred to prosecution by the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. And the detectives are listed: Area 2, Detective Bureau, Homicide Unit. And that takes us down to the end of the document, man. This was a wild one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely hit that subscribe button and turn your notifications on because I will be dropping some more heat. And thank you guys for subscribing. Peace.